Hello again and welcome to another Warhammer 40k Imperial Guard list review. So today's list was sent in by Patreon supporter James Loder. I hope I am pronouncing that correctly. It's going to be an interesting video, this one, guys, because James sent me in, before he sent me in, they sent me an email with a whole sort of, a bit of sort of spiel, bit of writing, bit of text on what he was aiming for with this list and how he was wanting to use it. And I know you've sent me an email since then, James, and you've updated things a little bit, but that initial email did definitely spark my interest. So it's a 2,000 point Death Corps of Krieg army. Now I don't play Death Corps of Krieg, number one, but I have played against Death Corps of Krieg quite a few times, and I've seen them in action quite a few times as well. So, and at the end of the day, they're guardsmen. I mean, they do play differently and they do have their quirks and everything, but at the end of the day, they are guardsmen, you know, with toughness 3, strength 3, got lots of infantry, lots of tanks. Yeah, they've just got they are unique, but they are also, you know, I can apply some guard tactics to them as well. So basically, going through the email that you sent me first, you've got sort of, you know, 3 or 4 questions. First thing you say, you've been running 3 Living Russes, but you're considering dropping the heavy bolter sponsons to free up some points. Although you're not sure if dropping heavy bolter sponsons is a good idea. How much effectiveness do the Russes lose when you drop the heavy bolters? Well, in a normal situation, I would say, well, if you're going to drop the heavy bolters on the Russes, it's not the end of the world, because you could probably take heavy bolters in your infantry squads, but you can't really do that with Krieg, can you? So, I mean, I'm inclined to leave the heavy bolters on the Russes. But this is the thing with sponsons, they're not auto-include weapons. They're nice, and, you know, at the end of the day, a heavy bolter is a heavy bolter no matter what platform it's on. But you know, heavy bolters are pretty good. So if you're really desperately short of points, you could consider it. But looking through a list, I think there's a few areas you can save points instead. Now you say you've been running a brigade plus a spearhead, and you've ended up paying some points in tax for your heavy weapon squads to fill the brigade. I know you're not. You've changed that up slightly, I believe, looking at your list now. So that's not too bad. Although, you know, I am looking at your list. You know, having your heavy support options in a separate detachment isn't the worst thing in the world. You know, they would get objectives secured. So I know you've made that change, but I do understand why I understand your concerns as well, because you feel like you're paying 150 points in the form of heavy weapon squads. But what you could do is, if you want to drop all your heavy bolters on your tanks, you could then take them in heavy weapon squads, and you're not losing anything and you're saving some points. You know, just an idea. And the last sort of main question you had was, you hit on a 3+ in combat. Your regimental standard gives them additional attack in melee. But you can also ally in a priest, which gives you another additional attack, but it's models, so, you know, one priest will be lucky to do 10 squads. But that is an additional 10 attacks. Is it worth the 35 point price tag of the priest? 3 attacks per guy is pretty nice. It's not to be underestimated. I think it is definitely worth considering. My advice would be, with this initial email, is obviously, you probably have done this, is play some games with it and see what ends up working. You know, you've always got your baseline, haven't you? So that's the initial email that you sent. I thought it was really, really good, sort of giving me an overview, an idea of what you were doing, your thoughts. It gives me an idea into how you play your armies. That's really good. You're talking about how you like to advance your guys forwards as well. So do you need heavy bolters on the tanks, on the infantry and stuff like that? Yeah, I kind of get it. Now, you've also given me some good feedback as well, saying how autocannons are great against Primaris and grenade launchers on veterans work really, really well. That's good because I don't think I've ever faced Primaris. Or I think I might be facing them this week, but I very rarely face Primaris. So it's good. The autocannon at least has a niche role of just being the perfect weapon for killing Games Workshop's new poster boys. And it's good to know that grenade launchers on veterans have been doing well, allowing you to save some points and still deliver the hurt to the enemy. So that's good. So that's sort of prefacing the list, and hopefully I've answered a few of the questions there. I know they're a little out of date, but I hope I've answered your questions there. Just to recap, I'd say, dropping the heavy bolters on the Russes, I wouldn't do it because I like the fact that sponsors are finally good. For the longest time ever, sponsors were just a waste of point leaving Russes, and now they're actually good. So I like my sponsors, but if you're desperate for points, it's okay to drop them, as long as you're compensating for the loss of firepower somewhere else. And taking you've sort of changed the list a bit, so I can see you're not really running Brigade and Spearhead anymore. So we'll ignore that one. And looking at your Priest with Deathcore Krieg, I definitely think that's a good idea. Definitely think it's something you should definitely try out. I mean, at the end of the day, you're Krieg, you're good at close combat. You shouldn't be aiming to get into... Well, with that, you can aim to get in close combat. Normally, as Krieg, I'd say the 3+ in close combat is a trap. But with Priests, definitely seems like 32 attacks per squad is tasty. Very tasty indeed. Now, let's take a look at the list now. I've scrolled through it. I see you've got some comments on it as well. I'm going to sort of, for now, just ignore the comments and just read the list as is, and then maybe go through the comments at the end. Okay, because I want to just get a fresh idea of what you're telling me with the list. So, the first detachment is a brigade detachment, and it's Death Corps of Krieg. Now you've said you need to shave 6 points. We'll have a look, because you're 2006 at the moment. Now you've taken the Death Corps Marshal Karis Venner, 70 points. I know, yeah, Venner's good. Gives you that sweet leadership buff. So that's absolutely fine. You definitely need. It gives you like leadership 10 when you're next to a standard. So it's absolutely, yeah. No comments there. Death Corps Field Officers. These are interesting. Only 23 points for these Field Officers. I'm not actually sure what they do, to be honest. I thought they would just be like company commanders, but they seem too well priced for that. Either way, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure they are able to issue orders, which is good. Now, taking a look at your troops, you've gone for 2 years of Death Corps Grenadiers, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units of Death Corps Infantry. Okay. Now, your Grenadiers, you spent 130 points per squad. That is pricey. That feels very, very pricey. What you've taken is you've taken a Watchmaster, aka a Sergeant with a Plasma Pistol. Okay, that's 5 points. I can dig that. You've taken 5 Hotshot Lasguns. Okay, sure, 5 points. And then you've taken a Melter Gun and a Heavy Stubber. And as a heavy weapons team, you've taken a Heavy Flamer. We've done that twice. I'm not a big fan of that configuration. I'm not a big fan of that configuration. And I know it probably pains me to... Probably it's not great to hear because I know Death Corps models are quite expensive. But that unit seems quite schizophrenic. It's got a Melter Gun for anti-tank, but it's short-range anti-tank. Then you've got a Heavy Stubber. It's cool that you can just take a Heavy Stubber on a guy, I admit that. Then you've got a Heavy Stubber, which is like long-range Dakar fire support. And then you've got a Heavy Flamer, which is really close-range anti-infantry. So I don't really like it, if I'm going to be honest. You want your Grenadiers. I mean, especially considering you sent me that email talking about how well grenade launcher Grenadiers have been going for you. Why aren't you still using them? These squads are just too expensive. At the end of the day, they're just 10 guys. And a concentrated burst of firepower from pretty much any unit out there will delete the majority of them. Will probably wipe the squad out. I mean, it's 130 points for 10 men. That's expensive. You could get 20 pimped out regular guys for that. Or you could, that's almost the cost of an artillery piece or a tank. You see, and the squad's not going to be doing very much because they're either going to get a melter shot or a heavy flamer burst or a bit of strength 4 heavy stubber shots. I think what you want to do is specialise your squads. You see, you've taken, a melter, a heavy stubber and a heavy flamer. Well, why not have one squad sit back as a Dakar squad? And you put 2 heavy stubbers in that, and you keep, you can keep your plasma pistol, or you can just have a hotshot lasgun on the sergeant. And their job, because these are OBSEC units, so because they're troops, this is how you want to be thinking. These are OBSEC units, so they want to be, in cover on objectives. These guys will be on a 3+ save. That can be tricky for the enemy to shift. Now, the other thing you might be thinking is, well, don't you want to be getting up close into the enemy's face and damaging them? Well, yeah, that's true. In which case, you want to drop the heavy stubbers and get yourself some grenade launchers or melter guns or plasma guns on them. And you want to be getting into close range. And then the heavy flamers will make more sense. So, if you really, really want to run this configuration, I would drop the heavy flamer from one squad and make it a double heavy stubber squad and put the melter gun and have a double melter gun heavy flamer squad. That's kind of how I would run it. Okay? It's difficult to say though, because you've only got 2 squads of them, and I feel like one squad of when I've seen these guys on the field, one squad of grenadiers is quite powerful, but when I face them, even my Black Templars, I didn't have much trouble killing one squad. So you kind of want to keep the 2 squads together. Yeah, I just feel like the squads are a bit schizophrenic. You need to go back to the drawing board and just specialise. You either want to make them close assault units, or you want to make them long-range Dakar support units. Okay? Now, reading the comments you put here, you say that your grenadiers are staged around your warlord and form the central strong point of my army in ruins of terrain with a take cover structure, and they can be incredibly difficult to dislodge from objectives, and they are brutally effective at repelling approaching enemy units. Okay, well, sort of, if you're using them as long-range Dakar, then you definitely want to be taking like double heavy stubbers on them. Get as many heavy stubbers as you can. And if you want to keep the heavy flamers because then it allows you to repel enemy units, then great. But those metal guns aren't going to be doing anything a lot of the time. So there you go. Now you've got two Death Corps infantry squads here, and you've given them you've called them your Vanguard infantry. Okay, and you've got a Watchmaster with a hotshot las pistol and a power sword, and a Guardsman with a flamer, and then a Voxcaster, and then 7 guys with las guns. Okay, cool. Now normally, taking a look through here, you haven't really got. Just trying to have a look. Do you have any command squads here? I'm sure I saw some. Yeah, you've got the regimental standard. Good. Okay. Now, here's my thinking. Here, your regimental standard gives you +1 attack. So normally, I wouldn't be a big fan of these Vanguard squads, but the fact that you're able to, with the 2 attacks on the sergeant, +1 for the standard, 3 power sword attacks per squad. That's as many power sword attacks as my bloody Black Templar squads are putting out. So that's pretty good. My only thing is, if you took a priest and you put a priest next to these 2 squads, which I can definitely see as some sort of either sacrificial unit or a counter-attack unit, 1 priest buffing both these squads, you're getting 8 power sword attacks. Nice. Very nice. I haven't really got any complaints about these, apart from the fact you said they're Vanguard squads. That, to me, implies sacrificial. soften charges. Yeah, so I don't really see the point of the Voxcaster. Taking a look at you. I see you've... Yeah, if they're sacrificial, if their job is to be at the front, and that means the majority of them they're probably going to die, then drop the Voxcasters. If they're going to be an effective speed bump and you're getting charged by an assault army, then the fact you want the priest there with them so that you'll get as many attacks as possible out of them before they die, which is what you want from a deathcore speed bump, because you can make them relatively effective, but you don't really need to bother with the Voxcasters. I don't take the Voxcasters in anywhere in my army, put it that way. Now, you've then got 4 Melter infantry squads, and these are Plasma Pistol, Melter Gun, and Lasguns, and you've got no Voxcasters on these. My approach with Voxcasters is you either take them everywhere or you don't take them at all. You either have a complete Vox network, because otherwise you will find yourself being restricted in your deployment. Not wanting to move because you want to stay in Vox range with the officer to the squad and blah blah blah. Sometimes what if one of your squads that doesn't have a Voxcaster needs an officer? You've got to make the choice there. But what if one of the other squad, what I'm trying to say is you either take all the Voxcasters and take less officers, or you take no Voxcasters and take more officers. I'm a bigger fan of taking more officers because that just means more orders. Okay. It's especially if you've got 23-point officers that can run around, you've got no excuse for not just spamming those things. You've taken, in regards to the weapon loadouts, Plasma Pistol and Melter Gun, yeah, that's fine. They're both 12-inch range. They're both pretty good at anti-tank, DACA. It's fine, really. I wouldn't... My only thinking is... it's worth noting that all Sergeants watching the Creek have the 3+ ballistic skill. Okay, so your plasma pistols are even more reliable. Nice, I like that. The only thing I'm saying is if you dropped all your Voxcasters, you could give all these guys power swords as well. Just saying. Then you've got an entire army of infantry. Well, an entire part of your infantry part of your army is entirely capable of going out there and chopping people to pieces, and at the same time can just DACA. So consider that. It's not for sure, it's just an idea. Then you've got your elite squads. One thing I want to say before we move on is I really like the fact that these squads... all your infantry squads, in comparison to your veteran squads, all your infantry squads have got a clear purpose. Plasma plus Melter allows you to get lots of anti-tank. You've put Plasma and the Melter together. Those two weapons complement each other. You've got Flamers and Power Swords there. Those guys are obviously designed to be speed bumps / attacking units. Makes a lot of sense. And the Voxcasters don't quite fit in my opinion, but that's another topic. Unlike your Grenadier squads, which are all over the place, Melter, Stubber, Flamer, no. So you see, I reckon your infantry squads will be much more effective than your Grenadiers in their current format. Okay. Now moving on to your elites, I like the fact that you've got these elite units because they, again, you've kept them standardized. I like it. You've got Vena's command squad, which I'm assuming is a slightly more expensive command squad. Or is it just the fact that it's just because you're running plasma in them? You've got Vena's command squad, you've got a Voxcaster, a standard bearer, and 2 special weapons with your plasma guns. Now I like the plasma guns and I like the regimental standard. I'm just, like I said, I'd either drop the Voxcaster or take them everywhere, and I'm inclined to drop them. Because you're taking, 1, 2, 3 Voxcasters, and this is all to support 2 of these Vanguard infantry squads. Well, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Those Vanguard infantry squads, just write them off as acceptable casualties. Just send them to their deaths. They are a speed bump or a charging unit or a counteract unit. They're not designed to they don't need Voxcaster support. You don't want to spend too many points on a unit that's already expected to die. The plasma I like. My only concern is it's going to make your regimental, your command squad a big target. I think the grenade launchers are better off just because you're not going to be such a big target with them. But you're taking grenade launchers the other ones, it's fine. Look, I'd probably leave them as plasma because you do need a nice little bit of ballistic skill 3 plus plasma. And plasma's great at the end of the day. But if you've been having success with grenade launcher veterans, consider that. By dropping the Voxcaster, I'm not saying you could. If you drop the plasma guns in the Venice command squad down to grenade launchers, that saves you 16 points. Guess what? That's an extra grenade launcher per squad. Then you're running 3 command squads with 9 grenade launchers and 3 regimental standards. Pretty tasty. Just an idea. I like plasma, don't get me wrong, but that plasma might be better served off in a regular infantry squad where it'll be cheaper. Just an idea. Now, you've then taken some fast attack, and you've taken 3 units of Death Riders. Now, I can already tell that this is fine, because I've been on the receiving end of 3 units of 5 Death Riders, and it was brutal. Yeah, I mean, my only thing is, don't you want the character that allows them to outflank? Won't they die if they're just charging across the battlefield? I don't know. They might do, they might not. Look, Death Riders are cool, and they're tough, and you know. But if you can outflank them, that would be a good idea. If you can't, then my recommendation would be to use them plus your Vanguard squad, your 2 Vanguard squads, as a good way of going out there and taking the fight to the enemy. You definitely don't want your Death Rider squadrons to be going out there unsupported. Okay, if you do a lot of your infantry is very mobile because you haven't got any heavy weapons. If you keep your Death Guard units and your infantry squads sort of together as a big push, that could be pretty powerful. On the other side, you could use them as a distraction kind of effect, but I feel like they will just die. Or you could dedicate them to a flank and try and go hunting some flank units. They're flexible. I like them. They've got hunting lances. That's great. Not too much to say here. Moving on to your heavy support, you've got 3 Alpha Mars pattern Lehman Russ battle tanks. Okay, now you've gone for Lehman Russ Conqueror with Hull Las Cannon heavy bolters, Conqueror battle cannon, coaxial storm bolter, and then you've gone for 2 normal Lehman Russes, but you haven't gone for the Conqueror battle cannon. I've been reading about the Conqueror. You're probably best spending the 3 extra points to get the coaxial. To give you all those juicy rerolls is fantastic. And the fact you said that this pattern gets +1 to its saving against all attack strength 4 or lower. Yeah, you say you tried removing the las cannons, but you do suffer from long range anti-tank. Yeah, you know what? You do need a little bit more anti-tank. And I think your Grenadiers could provide that. I mean, I know you say something from long range anti-tank, but anti-tank in general is fine. I mean, if you took 3 Conquerors, and yeah, if you took 3 Conquerors, that's a good idea. And the las cannons, I know you like to grind forward, but you probably don't need to. You probably don't need to at all. I think they're good. I think if they're fine as is because the regular battle tank does have the longer range. But if you can get for 3 points, if you can get all those juicy rerolls, I would definitely find those juicy rerolls. Now, you've then added an interesting one. You've added a patrol detachment of Tempestus, and you've gone for a troop choice and a elite choice and an HQ. You've gone for a Tempestus Prime with command rod. Then you've gone for what looks like 10 Scions, and then you've gone for a command squad with 4. You've basically gone for 8 plasma guns. Okay. I can kind of dig it. The only thing is you're not gaining any command points from this. It's giving you 8 plasma guns, sure, but you're not gaining any command points. And you could easily, if you just took 3 squads of regular Scions and put 2 plasma guns in each one, that gives you 6 plasma guns. You've only lost 2, bear in mind. You take 6 plasma guns, and then you put a plasma pistol in each squad. And then you guess you've got to try and find another command choice, though, don't you? I guess that's the tricky thing. Tricky. Yeah, but I think it's possible. I think it's possible. So we're going to go through it. So that's sort of my musings on the list. Now let's try and trim some fat. Let's try and find some ways of saving you some points to buy all these things I've been asking you to buy. Well, number 1 is 6 points over. But I reckon if you make those Grenadier squads as long-range Dakar Grenadiers, with heavy stubbers, Grenadier squads, that would be much better. Just try it out. Okay, at the moment they're too schizophrenic. Let's make them cheap and Dakar-y cheap with lots of Dakar. Let's just try that out. So instead of being 130 points, it's 130 minus 17. You're paying so much for that plasma and melter, and then add 4 for the heavy stubber. So that's 100 points. You've saved 30 points. So between those 2 squads, you've saved 60 points. Okay, and ask yourself really, how differently are these units going to play? Not really. They're going to still be your strong point. They're still going to be in ruins. They're still going to be doing long range support. Only now they've got they've got a purpose. They're much more streamlined. You're not firing a heavy stubber at long range for the whole game. Now you're firing 4 heavy stubbers. Does that make sense? Or you're not wasting those melter guns half the time and wasting the heavy flamers half the time and occasionally using heavy stubber. Now you've got plenty of long range Dakar. But the best thing about these guys is you hit on 3+, right? So if you move the heavy stubber, it's only -1 to hit. So these guys are perfectly mobile because -1 to hit and a heavy stubber is who cares? Still get 3 shots. Still probably you're going to get 3 hits. It's only the difference between 3 hits and 4 hits you have to move them. They're still perfectly mobile. So anyway, that's 60 points saved, right? Then if you drop all the Voxcasters, that is 1, 2. In fact, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's another 25 points. So they're looking at 85 points saved. Okay, that's pretty nice. Pretty nice indeed. Now, if you wanted to, because obviously you've freed up a few melter guns. I don't know what your model collection is like, but you've freed up a few melter guns. You could turn your Vanguard infantry squads, which have got flamers. You could put the melter guns in there now. It only costs you 5 points. It only costs you 10 points in total. This is one idea we talked about, isn't it? So you've got 85 points to play with. You spend 5 of those. You spend 10 of those, giving upgrading so that you've got melter guns in all your infantry squads. You're looking for more anti-tank? That's the place to put it, in the units which are advancing forward. Then you could put a power sword in every squad. That's 4 more power swords? That's 16 points. You've only spent 26 points. And now you've gained 4 power swords and 2 melter guns. The only thing you've lost 2 flamers. That's not a big problem. As though, yes, you have lost your heavy flamers, but heavy flamers is losing those isn't the end of the world. Because honestly, I doubt you would have been using them very often, especially if, like you said, these guys are strong points and their purpose is to be, long range support with with the ability to repel the enemy. Well, now they're never going to. Now you're just streamlining them. You're just streamlining them. So if you wanted to, you could then afford a priest. If you wanted, if you want to, you could probably even take 2 priests if you really, if you want to figure it out. But what I'm saying is, you've got a lot of. Well, you don't need the priest, do you? Sorry. In this configuration, you wouldn't need the priest because you've got extra attacks from. You've got 3 power sword attacks per squad, and now rather than having 2 power swords, you've got 6. So you've gone from having 6 power sword attacks. A priest would have only put that up to 8. You've gone from having 6. You've now gained an additional 12 power sword attacks. Nice. Hitting on 3s. Tasty. And you've still got about 60 points left to spend. Which is good. With that 60 points, you could use that to really flesh out your Tempestus into a proper detachment. Okay? So you'd have to spend, you just have to spend 41 points on one of it. So you've got 60 points, remember. So what you want to do is you need to take, let's add up what you've got. You've got 45 plus 152 plus 88. Okay? Just make sure I'm doing that right. 55 plus 152 plus 88 plus the 60 points you had left over from dropping, trimming down your veterans and getting rid of your Voxcasters, right? That's 355 points to spend on getting a full Scion detachment. Okay? Minus 45 for 1 command squad guy. Okay? Now, you've given this guy Laurels of Command. Okay? But, you don't, you could give him the tactical auto reliquary of Tiberius or whatever, and then he'd be able to probably do 3 orders. And that would save you 5 points. But for now, we'll just take another basic Tempesta, because you're only going to have 3 squads, so you only need 3 Tempesta orders, right? So that is, you've got 269 points left. Now you're going to have 3 Scion squads, and each so that's 150 points. Then you've got the plasma pistols, so that's 4 points, 4 points, 4 points. The reason I'm only spending 4 points is because I've already taken into account the cost of the Hotshot Las pistol, which they're swapping out, okay? And then you would have 6 plasma guns. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You still have 35 points left over, if my calculations are correct. Now remember, you had to drop 6, because you were 6 points over. That's 29 points left over. You know what that gets you, buddy? That gets you an extra Death Corps field officer, which is extra orders, which is what you want, because you're going to have a lot of infantry. So you're going to want a lot of orders. Your Scions have got enough orders to fly around. Great. But you've got 8 infantry units there which need plenty of orders. So if you have, I'm guessing these Death Corps field officers do 2 orders each. They might not, but still, between them and Inspired Tactics and whatever, assuming, Carl Venner does 2, and, or does he get an extra order? Okay, he does 3. Then if your field officers do 1 each, and you have 3, that's 6 orders you can throw down. That's fine. That's perfect. Inspired Tactics allows you to get up to 7 orders. You could take the relic that allows you to issue bonus orders. Then you're pretty much on 8 orders. You put the laws of command here, you'd be better suited. So overall, that's what I would do with the list. Okay, I would streamline the Grenadiers massively. They're schizophrenic at the moment. I would use that to then homogenize your infantry. You need more anti-tank? Well, guess what? You've got 2 extra melters in there now. And you're not losing any anti-infantry because you're gaining plenty of anti-infantry in the form of your Grenadiers. Okay? And your Grenadiers I've still kept the plasma pistols on them because, a cheeky plasma pistol shot can make the difference. And if they've got something big coming down against them, then the fact that they can fire a plasma pistol shot, hitting on 3s, re-rolling 1s, there's a good chance you can overcharge that. You'll be taking 2 wounds off something. Between the 2 squads, you can take 4 wounds off any big nasty that's coming your way. And don't forget, your hotshot lasguns are all AP -2 as well. So if you've got a dreadnought barreling down on you, for example, and dreadnoughts are popular this edition, these two squads should be able to bring it down pretty easily with a bit of order support. So what you've then got, you've got 20, I've streamlined the list. So you've got 20 guys, 20 grenadiers, which are going to be sat in cover as a long-range Dakar fire base. Okay, if the enemy gets close, you can, or if they need to advance, they can do because they've got the volume of fire to do that. Then you've got 6 melter infantry squads with power weapons. All of these guys are going to be supported by your command squads. So you've got plenty of anti-everything there. You've got 6 melter guns, 6 power swords. You've then got 2 plasma guns, 4 grenade launchers. Or, as we discussed, potentially 9 grenade launchers there. That can do 9 grenade launchers plus 6 melter guns. That's good. And anything that doesn't get finished off by that, get in amongst them. You've got 3 power sword attacks per squad. Nice. Hitting on 3s. Then you've got your death riders. Leave them as is. They'll go well. Now all your infantry is advancing forward, trying to get, like you said, you like to advance. I embrace that feeling. You know, that's what you told me you want to do. Now your death riders have got support. Now your death riders are being backed up by a minimum of 60, possibly 80 infantry pushing forward. The death riders have now got support. But also your tanks. Now I know you like to advance your tanks, but often you've probably found that you're struggling to hit when you advance your tanks. If you don't advance with the tanks as much, I mean, I know you'd want to try and get into 24-inch range. You've got the coaxial Stormbolter. That's only going to be a turn or two. You know, what that means is your tanks, if all your infantry and death riders are pushing forward, getting to the enemy's face, kill, then your tanks, which are long-range Dakar, and your grenadiers, which are long-range Dakar, are mutually supporting each other, which is great. So what have we got there? We've got 1 fighting group, regular infantry plus death riders. That's 1 fighting group. You've got another fighting group, long-range Dakar, tanks plus veterans, and then you've got your 3rd fighting group, which is your Tempestus Scion force, which is 3 squads of Scions. Each one of those squads is putting out 5 plasma shots. So you've got 1 plasma pistol and 2 plasma guns. So that's 15 plasma shots. That's only 1 less than you were getting overall. When you think about it, because you had 8 plasma guns. No, now it's, I guess you had a plasma. It's 1 or 2 shots less, but you had enough points left over. If you wanted to, you could put a couple of plasma pistols on the officers if you wanted to. You just don't overcharge them, but they're still there. So you've just got, like you said, you've got 3 fighting groups there. Now that changes the way you were running this, because I know you were running them as 3 fire bases, 1 tank, 1 death riders, and infantry element. Now you've almost specialised your fighting groups. You've got 1 that pushes forward, gets to the enemy's face, 1 that is Dakar, and your Scions drop in and deliver the first alpha strike. So I know this has been a really long video, but it was really good to go in depth. There's a lot I wanted to talk about. We had a lot of questions at the beginning. There's a lot of changes I want to make, and I really wanted to embrace the feelings. I have been actually, like I told a lie, I have actually been reading your comments on the way down, and that has affected some of the things that I've recommended. But yeah, I'm going to end the video now because it's 40 minutes. That's a long ass review, but I really wanted to sort of cover a lot of things here. So for those of you who are listening to this video and who are Deathcore players, I'm really hoping that this will be really useful to you. Okay, it means this is if I was playing a 2,000 point Deathcore of Krieg list, the one I have just sort of highlighted now is the one I would build and go for. Okay, so thank you for listening. Thank you for being patient and sticking around. Big long list review, but it was a really interesting one. I wanted to do a proper in-depth review for Deathcore of Krieg because we don't get a lot of them on the channel. I don't give them much coverage as they should do. So I just want to give them a good special bit of spotlight time. So hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time.